Marine Corps. He served vice chair for District 26. He was national beat delegate at the RNC convention in 2012, and he is focused on empowering people to restore our
went on a long time, so
welcome Matt Papke, please.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Matt. And thank you, Navajo County, for having us out here tonight. I gotta tell you, there's a lot of counties in Arizona with a lot more people that have much smaller gatherings. So I want right now, you said ourselves a round of applause for showing up and just taking a stand.
Stand behind the flag.
These are the people we're going to be working with together over the next however many years to take our country back. And that's important, guys. So everybody that's in this room tonight, you gotta look to them as your fellow soldier in the battle we're gonna take on. What an honor to be on the same stage as Sheriff Mack. I didn't think that was really gonna happen in my lifetime, so thank you. It's always wonderful to hear such a passionate and knowledgeable speaker. I've got some prepared remarks that I'll go through, and then after that, I think there's an auction for a rifle, one of those scary assault rifles that you hear about. Someplace they won't deny that. It is time. Our borders are porous. Our defenders stretch past breaking, and our leaders bereft of humility and humanity. It is time for those of us who will stand for justice, liberty, and goodness to do so. It is time to show our neighbors not only compassion, but how to be compassionate. To light not only our own paths, but to render darkness defeated for all. We are the remnant. A remnant will be saved. Romans 9:27. Will we allow our fellow brothers and sisters to fall even further from grace, from liberty, from goodness, or will we raise the bar? Today we will talk about the wars on flesh, treasure, and for your minds. We will circumnavigate the perils of our apathetic two-party duopoly and the need to bring our boys home. Today, in our short time together, I hope we can all walk away feeling the need to raise the bar in every aspect of our lives. The average American watches 5 hours and 11 minutes of television per day. The average. Now that takes in my viewership, which is 0, and many of you I know that don't even own TVs. So think about that for a minute. The average American watches more than 5 hours of television per day. In America, for 2012, American Idol and The Voice were the second and third most watched programs. Now tell me, how does watching 5 hours and 11 minutes of shows like this, daily, enrich our lives? Does it feed us? Does it clothe us? Does it defend our virtue? But there's nothing wrong with frivolity now and then, but there's something wrong with spending 1/3 of your waking day in mindless pursuits. Now an argument could be made that we in America are so blessed and that we have so much free time and so much security that we don't have to worry about our country. Well, is that not the same as Rome in its final days, as they lavished in feasting, games, war, and vomitariums? In Germany, during World War II, the percentage of income that the average household spent on food rose from less than 15% from before the war to more than 90% near its end. Their time was spent finding and creating food, and ours is watching the food tube 5 hours a day. Are we so content in our lives that we can ignore the government's backroom deals and the militarization of our peace officers? Perhaps reality has become too painful to endure or even ponder for our nation. If you haven't yet, turn off your television, especially the big media news networks. General Electric, GE, owns 49% of NBC. Now GE had net revenues of nearly $150 billion last year, and over the last decade, they've paid less than 2% of tax on all revenue. They also spent heavily on lobbying in 2012. Their top 2 lobbies? You're right. Number 1, tax code. Number 2, defense. GE has a significant portion of its revenue generated through defense contracts. So if your revenue comes from defense contracting and you own NBC, how likely are you going to be to rationalize or present the side of the story that rationalizes why you should not go? Is he okay? Okay. And all right, he's okay, guys. How often how are you going to rationalize why we shouldn't go to one more unconstitutional war? You're not going to do it. It's going to hurt your profit margin. I like Ike. Ike warned us of the dangers of military-industrial complex. President Dwight Eisenhower, in his farewell speech, said, "We must guard against the acquisition of unwarranted influence, whether sought or unsought, by the military-industrial complex. The potential for the disastrous rise of misplaced power exists and will persist." And I believe that's where we are today. GE is a huge stakeholder in NBC, formerly MSNBC. Recently, MSNBC hired Democratic strategists David Axelrod and William Gibbs. Are we surprised then when President Obama's campaign slogan was forward, MSNBC's was lean forward? But it's not only MSNBC and NBC that power the drums of wars. Enter Amber Lyon, Emmy Award-winning reporter for CNN. Amber tells us there's a, quote, "There's a psychological effect that even if viewers hear something they know to be false. If it's repeated enough, they begin to categorize it in their minds as truth." Continued. "Once the pattern of CNN bookending my work with government propaganda became inevitable, I began to wonder if it was better for the plight of Bahrainians if I had just quit reporting on Bahrain for the network altogether." Amber is also on record stating that CNN accepts money from special interest groups, looking to promote their agendas regardless of the facts. Quote, "I look at those payments as dirty money to stay silent. I got into journalism to expose, not help conceal wrongdoing, and I am not willing to keep quiet about this any longer, even if it means I'll lose those payments." Fox, even the most conservative station of the group, misses the mark. Remember Ron Paul's presidential campaign in 2011? Fox sure doesn't. They actually forgot to mention that he almost won the Iowa straw poll, and that he actually did win the Iowa caucus. Bruce. Across the nation, Ron Paul was not invited to Fox News in any respectable light during his campaign. So why should we listen to the talking heads on the idiot box? We shouldn't. Look at the gun control debate. Of course it's tragic to have the children killed. Of course we feel for them. But did the media talk about the officer who stopped an active shooter in a movie theater days after Sandy Hook? No. Did they talk about how a patriot stopped a shooter in an Oregon mall days after Sandy Hook? No, they didn't. It didn't fit their narrative. They were doing their master's business, telling the stories they're paid to tell. But this isn't by accident, guys. This is by design. They're the fourth branch of the government. There is money in war. There's money in enslavement. The media would have us believe that the left and the right are so divided that rather than build a community garden, we would slash and burn the land that was there. The truth is much different. We are all Americans. We are all in this together. It is time for us to raise the bar in our own lives and show our neighbors and colleagues and pupils what liberty means. Liberty comes with responsibility. So turn off your television and look for alternative credible news outlets. The advent of the internet has made this possible. Within moments, we can find out what is happening in the world away from people who are there on site. But only if we will look and we will listen. The downside, of course, is that there is misinformation at times, sometimes purposefully, sometimes in error. But I would put myself at the mercy of the citizen media corps over the corporate media's deceit anytime and every time. So I'm going to speed through here because I can tell there's a little bit of, let's get out. So I will speed through and cut to the end. But some of the things I was going to go over, guys, are pretty important. I am going to go over them. How many people here saw Rand Paul when he was filibustered forth? How many people watched that on CNBC, on C-SPAN? That's right, so I sat for 14 hours almost watching that guy talk. And let me tell you, drones were a conspiracy theory before that moment. Robert Gibbs, the former White House spokesman, was told when he started his job do not acknowledge the drone program. Drones, guys, they're not making us friends. For every drone strike, we have 49 people are killed, one of them is a terrorist. That's a study by Stanford and NYU. We're not making friends, guys, we're breeding hatred. It's not working. And will that same standard be applied to America? I sure do hope not. We've got 900 military bases in 134 different countries right now. Can we afford it? No. We can borrow money from China. Right? I mean, we can do that for a while. Should we be there? I don't think so. How many guys here watched Vietnam when it was coming through? Anybody remember watching that on TV? What was the first thing we did? We sent advisors to Vietnam, right? How many of you, show of hands, how many of you know that right now we have military advisors in 34 African countries? Well, I do. It's the Africa Corps, yeah. It's the African Command, just established about 2 years ago. 34 advisors in African countries. Is there a lot of gold there? There's a lot of gold there. What else is there? A lot of oil. Whatever the reason is, I don't care. It's time to bring our troops home. I'm sick of seeing veterans die. We have sat here tonight for about 3 hours now, maybe. 2 veterans have committed suicide. We're losing 23 veterans a day. That's not acceptable, guys. I was a Marine. My brother was in the Marine Corps. He's now in the active reserves. That's not okay. Guess what else? We're sending our reserves and our National Guard. We're sending them overseas like the active duty military. That's not what they signed up for. They signed up to protect our borders. And when hell came, they said, yeah, we'll defend our country. But that's not what we're doing. We've got so many deployments going, so many active rotations, that we got veterans killing themselves 23 a day. And we have 1 active duty military person killing himself every day. 323 active duty military people killed suicide, higher than the actual combat deaths last year alone. The families are broken. They can't put up with this deployment pace. And it's up to us, and it's up to our state representatives, just like Sheriff Mack was saying, to say, no, you can't use our National Guard. You can't use our state guard. You can't stand for illegal guys. As I said, we're all in this together. We do need to raise the bar. How many people here were aware that the NDAA bill made it all the way through the House this time, the anti-NDAA? Pretty big deal, guys. Well, it got killed by Representative Robson. He didn't quite move through his committee fast enough, and it languished. It did get voted on by the House as a friendly amendment, I believe, and it passed. But how sad is this? How many people here think San Francisco is more liberal than Arizona? Probably, right? Well, guess what? The San Francisco Town Council voted unanimously to nullify the NDAA in San Francisco. Where do the representatives do their jobs? Where's the senators stand up for us? They're not. That's up to us. That's up to us, the Republican Party, to say, where are you guys at? We got a majority in the House. How in the world are we possibly going to let brewer care go through? We got a majority. If they're not voting for you, they need to go home. Thank you. Now I'm going to close with some prepared remarks, and then we'll let you guys get some cake and get some guns. We are winning. It is only due to the efforts of you and all of us. The blood that was shed so long ago in order to give us our Declaration of Independence, the Bill of Rights, and our freedom from the crown. It is up to each and every one of us to continue to raise the bar in our lives, to lead by example, to become our own shining beacon on the hill. Goodness is rewarded, and nearly all men seek to find the good within. We are the remnant, and you are the revolution. Thank you.